How we doing today? Today was annoying. Minus 318. But there's a lot of things that I did well that I want to kind of go over. And a lot of things to learn from. So, my biggest focus, I want to focus on the positive real quick. The biggest focus I'm having for the rest of my time trading is just to do the right things, right? Not win, not lose. You know, I'm not as concerned. Obviously, yes, I want to take better trades. I want to win more. But I'm not as concerned with, my performance in a sense. And I'm not going to hyper focus on that. I'm going to focus more on, am I taking too many trades? Am I over leveraged? Am I, those things that I can control, right? Obviously, in a sense, I can't control if I win or lose, but that's more of just a market interpretation. That's stuff that comes with time. That's stuff that comes with experience. That stuff comes with luck, right? Sometimes it's a little bit of luck. So, the things that aren't luck is your sizing, how much you're willing to risk, how many trades you're willing to take, how you hold your trade, etc., 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 right? And those are the things that I can control. So I no longer want to be making any mistakes in that regard. So I want to go over a few things that I did well today. My plan is to risk 200 per trade. We took 2 trades. We took 2 losses. We lost 318. So we actually lost less than 200 per trade, right? Doesn't really matter too much, right? That's not the main focus, but that's good. That means we risked well. I took 2 trades and I locked my account. I didn't instantly lock my account, which I want to get better at. I was a little bit frustrated and I just saw the market keep dumping, and then I just closed my account when we kept dumping, because then I really knew there was not going to be an opportunity and that I shouldn't, because that's my rule. So even though I did lock my account, I didn't do it instantly, which I should, so I could improve there. But I did lock my account after 2 losses, and I ended the day red. So I stuck to my loss limit. I stuck to my risk amount, and I held my trades well. I let them stop me out. So those are all the good things I did, even though I lost. And I was long biased today off open, and I can kind of go over why. And again, I think it's all interpretation, but there's a lot of times I read the market perfectly, and there's a lot of times where I don't. And that's why I review the chart and I can get better. I'm not going to ever sit here and say that I can't get any better or I didn't miss anything. But I'm not as concerned with missing things as I am with my performance. So going into the day, I wanted to see. Let's turn off these drawings. Going into the day, I realized that we are in this bigger time frame daily imbalance right here. Right, we are in a daily fair value gap right here that we are rejecting out of currently. Right, but we had just on the bigger time frame, we are very bullish. Right, this is a very bullish price action, very bullish, and I think we're going to go to all-time highs. We do have this SMT. But we had an SMT here as well. We came back down, rebalanced the SMT, and then we've been moving up. So I wasn't really super bearish just because we were in this imbalance. I have it obviously annotated, I think. I have it annotated right here, the daily fair value gap. So I was aware of it, but I wasn't giving it too much weight and too much credit. Coming into the day, I also recognize this 4-hour imbalance would have been a target for me if I was short bias. But I, didn't pay attention to it, right? Or I wasn't short biased. The reason I was long biased is kind of, I would say just a little bit zoomed in, was just because we had these 2 highs here. Before market opened, I wanted to see these smooth highs get taken, which we do. This is true open, or the open of the daily candle. This is also midnight open, so this was a high probability place to go short above. So that should have tipped me bearish. We had an SMT here on the 5-minute. We had an SMT on this time, or from here to here, which caused the price to go higher. But that shouldn't give me much more weight than here, right? We are delivering from this imbalance. This 15-minute, and we started displacing higher. This looked like a buy model that I wanted to see complete all the way here and maybe fill the daily imbalance. That was my idea going into the day, right? That was my reason for longs, and then I'll go over what longs I took, and then I'll go over why I could have been bearish, right? Because I was wrong, I lost, but I had a reason for the loss, I had a reason for the trades, and I want to go over them, and then I want to go over what I could have done better. So the first idea was after open, market open, let's see where ES was at this time. This was ES, and actually here, one of the things I didn't pay much attention to because it kind of just was weird to me was this SMT here. This is on a 15-minute. This is 10:30 from yesterday, right? 10:30 from yesterday. Notice how on a 15-minute, 10:30 from yesterday is here, right? This is 10:30, or this is 10 o'clock, right? Let's go to 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, like around here. This is the swing high. We have an SMT actually from here to here. So I noticed this, but I didn't, again, give it much weight because we had rebalanced lower, and I was like, okay, this could still be a buy model. This should have maybe tipped me off more. Also off open, we put in another SMT that I should have paid more attention to, but we'll actually go over this more in depth when I go over what I could have done better. But I just want to pull up ES as well here and go to the market open. Market opens here. Market open candles 9:30, and then 9:30 here. 9:30 put in this, right? So we technically have an SMT here, but my first trade idea was this 5-minute imbalance was holding. The 5-minute imbalance was holding. We had come up, we come back down, we were holding here, we end up coming back lower. I'm pretty sure ES took this low, the 9:30 low. ES, we had taken 9:30 low, but we also took 9:33 low. So I felt like we had an SMT. What do we do? I'm not really sure. I think we were just rejecting here. But my first trade was we had this order block get put in. And again, I'm bullish. I want to see these highs get ran. So we put in an order block here after holding this 5-minute. We come back higher. Actually, do we hold the 5-minute? We do hold the 5-minute. And then this was the start of the macro. So what do I want to see? I want to see price start delivering during the macro. So if we get rid of this 5-minute imbalance because this was, or if we push this to the side, we had the 5-minute imbalance. Then we had a 30-second inverse right here. Then we put in the 1-minute order block right here. So 5-minute, 30-second inverse order block. We respect the order block. We respect the order block again. And then we finally inverse this 1-minute that we had resistance at. We close above it here. I jump in along right here. And my stop, I can't remember how many contracts I went in. My stop loss was at this order block because, maybe this is, honestly, I probably just went wrong with this stop loss. It would have stopped me out anyways, but I would have stayed in the first trade and I wouldn't have lost until later. I would have lost down here instead of losing right here. I would have taken one trade. So maybe I should have put my stop underneath this fair value gap. But we'll go over the first execution right here, actually. Let's take this, see this trade. Let's see this trade here. So we get in right here, and we put our stop loss around that order block because we wanted to mitigate risk. This candle was really good, right? We were up 150. We didn't close the trade, which is fine. We were super close to take profit one. We were taking profit, and left my runner to this high. And at this point, I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is an amazing trade. And then we just get a massive candle down. So, even though my bias is wrong, I want to think that I got a little bit unlucky, right? But that's fine, right? Whatever. I want to say that I'm glad that after this big red candle came in, I didn't just close the trade, right? I just let the trade play out. I had my risk in place. Trade started moving up. I'm thinking, cool, that was just a big scary rebalance. And then it does this candle, and I'm glad I didn't close it, even though the writing was on the wall at this point. And I was just hoping for something to hold. And at this point, I'm just like, cool. I kind of trailed my stop there, so that's a little bit of a mistake, but it ends up saving me a little bit. It would have hit the order block anyways. And then that was my first trade. So I take a loss there. I lost 138, so that's fine. I took my loss there on the first position, $138 loss. And then this is where I took my second trade, right? We kept bouncing off the order block. I still had the same bias, and we inversed this 30-second. So I got in long, and when this 30-second inverses, I felt comfortable putting my stop right around these lows here. So I had really tight risk, and I would have taken partials here, here, and here. Same idea, same targets, but I felt more confident with a tighter stop because after this move here, rebalancing, and then once we inverse this, if I am right, price should be very efficient through here. It shouldn't stall. It should hit this high, this high, this high, and then go to here. If we are right, if we're bullish, this will work. So I could have a very tight stop. This became an order block. I think this became a 30-second order block right here too. So we would have had the order block, and we would have had the IFEG. So I was fine putting my stop there. That was my next trade right there, and I'll pull the execution up here. So this was my next trade. Was again the 30-second close. I got in with let's see. Got in with 7 micros, risking. I was seeing where the 200 risk was, 200. So I was never risking more than 200, which is good. And yeah, we were instantly up a little bit, but it never went back up. Then I moved my stop to these bodies because we shouldn't really come back down to this area. This area should hold. We really should have just gone quick if I was right. And I guess that's where I end up taking more loss. Let's see what I do with my stop. I'm just kind of looking around at different things. At this point, I'm just not confident, obviously. And then I move my stop. And then I move it there. And I get stopped for, I don't know what I exactly got. I guess I get stopped for 190. Must not have. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, I'm trying to figure out something here. 150. Oh, I guess I just get stopped because I let go. So yeah, I get stopped there. And then again, I didn't instantly lock my account, but then I quickly lock it out. So again, happy that I locked my account. Happy that I stuck to my rules, my risk. Is it frustrating to lose? Of course it is. But if I just do the right things, maybe I'll go on a bad streak. Maybe I'll see the market wrong. But when I do start seeing the market well, what do we get? What will we get, right? We'll get this. 7 points. Let's say I was going to take, let's see what we would have done here on this trade. On our take profits. We had 2, 2, and then that would leave 3 to this high. So we would have had 2 off here. Boom, 13 points. $13 times 2 plus this high here, 15. So plus 15 plus 15. And then our last target would have been here, 36 points plus 36 plus 36 plus 36. Times that by 2. That would have been $328. No, that can't be right. 36 times 3 plus 30 plus 26. Times that by $2 a point. 320. How is that? Okay, hold up. I apologize. My math is, I'm confused on the math here. Okay, so that's if I held all the way to here. If I wouldn't have, and I would have held the other 3 to here. Okay, this is more realistic. Okay, 22. Let's just say I took 2 off here, 2 off here, 2 off here, and 3 off. I shouldn't have done that, right? That's one mistake I was going to make. Is that I would have taken profits too early, right? If we hold the entire trade, 35 points to that target, 35 times 14, that would be $500 trade. And then if we were just to do this, 2, so 15 times 2 plus 26 plus 44 plus 36 times that by 2, we would have made $270 on this winner. So my point being is that if I am right, if I just stick to my rules, right? Today I lost, and it's annoying, and I lost money. But if the first trade wins, then we're just making positive R, right? The first trade we had, I don't know, I think 5 contracts. Regardless, first trade we're minimum making $200. Could be making a lot more if it works, right? Second trade we would make our money back plus some if it works, right? So this is fine. This is in my risk. I can take 2 losses, and that's fine. So I did the right thing. But what do we need to learn from the trades? How could we have avoided these? What could we do better? That's what I need to look at, right? I need to not be worried about losing because that's fine, right? Again, we established that what would make this a bad day, right? If I end up instantly trying to just make back my losses, over leveraging, and I lose $1,000. $1,000 is too much to lose because then it's going to take a lot of wins to get it back. So I've been on a little down streak. My account is really kind of not performing well, right? We are down $1,000 this month. But if we just keep doing the same risk, we have a lot of time to turn that around, and it doesn't matter, right? We need to get these winners up, right? We need to get these winning days up. This was a nice winning day, right? We had a good winning day on Friday. We had 1 win, right? We could have made more. We should have made more, but whatever. We made 1 win. Pretty much got wiped out by the loss. 2 losses wipe out 1 win. So that's cool, right? 1 win almost covers 2 losses. So if we come up tomorrow and we take a win, we'll be back in the green since this day, right? So I don't need to worry about the losses, right? Because today's loss is fine. Tomorrow we might take a winner, right? What we can't have happen is this. We can't have $1,000 day. Because regardless of how many trades I lose, if I lose 2 trades, I should never lose 1,000. I should never lose more than 400 in theory, right? So this day shouldn't have happened either. I shouldn't have lost 37. So this is already, right, because of mistakes, this is $650 that I lost extra that I should never lose. So let's just say I did take 2 losses these days. $650, right, to this balance. If we add 650, those days I probably shouldn't have taken any trades anyways, right? I can't remember. But we have 4979, I think. 793 plus 3 plus $650. If we just cut ourselves off at $400 on those days, our account would be up, right? Nothing crazy, but we'd be in a lot better situation. Why? Because it's just risk management. So now, what could I do better on the actual trades? This first trade here, I don't hate, again, because if the bias is right, we're in the macro, we have an order block, we have a 30-second inverse, we're holding a 5-minute, we have clear targets, right? We have 3 highs, right? That's fine. In terms of the actual execution, I'm fine with that. I think maybe my stop loss is too tight. Maybe I have to put it below this fair value gap, and we let it ride out, and then we get stopped here, and that's 1 loss, and then we would not have got a re-entry, so we would have lost less. So that's one thing I want to know is just better stop loss placement. What do I want to know on the second trade? Well, the second trade is not very, very high probability second setup, right? Because we're just rebouncing off an order block. If we look at it objectively, right, we're just kind of consolidating this area. There's no clear movement. So this is just a little bit of trying to force my hand. Again, the re-entry isn't horrible. I understand it, makes sense. We have an inversion. We have an order block that we're delivering from. My bias now is almost more confirmed. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 highs now that I want to see. But I just had the wrong bias. So that's what it is on the trade front, why I took the trades, what I did wrong in those, what I could have done better. Now I want to kind of go over why maybe I should have been bearish. What was I missing? First, like we talked about, the higher time frame SMT. Then we had an SMT on the 5-minute and above. We have these smooth highs here that we end up taking out on ES or on NQ right here. So we have an SMT. So we pull up the 5-minute on ES, right? We notice that at the 222 level, we notice an SMT here. So we did not sweep this high here on ES. And on NQ, we have the 222 high right here. We end up sweeping the highs. This is right at market open or pre-market. Then we take out the high one more time. We displace lower. Right? We come up, we fail to put out the high. This kind of just throws me off, this type of price action when we come up, fail, really strong push, fail. That throws me off always. But what do we get? We get bearish order flow, right? We come up, we put in this 15 second, we hold the 15 second, we displace lower, we somewhat hold this imbalance, we displace lower again. Still in the macro as well, this is in the macro. And we end up starting to displace, right? The only real entry is this 15 second right here. This is the only entry I think people could take. For shorts, you get a 15 second fair value gap tap, and if you really are confident in the bias being lower here, and you could hold for lower, that's really the only trade, right? This happens right at the end of the macro, but we had already taken out this low. So it's kind of, that's not a setup that I specifically look for, because I'm happy with the inversions I'm trading. I'm happy with how I reprice. And yeah, I mean, so short bias makes sense. We had the SMT after sweeping out this low resistance liquidity, these smooth highs, put in the SMT. But I think price action was just a little bit tricky because we just did a lot of chopping. This was the first sign of bearishness, right? This is why at first I was leaning bearish. We put in this fair value gap. We end up respecting constant encroachment, selling off. But then when we get this pump up, it kind of changes my mind. It kind of makes me think, hey, maybe we're just holding this wick, and maybe the bullish bias can play out the 5 minute and whatever. And again, I don't want to say that I wasn't wrong or that I got unlucky, but I don't hate the long bias here. I think that if I was short bias, it's probably better. It probably would have a better read on the market. But even the first trade, right, we got very close to hitting this high, which would have been a scale, which would have been a win technically. And who's to say that it wouldn't just have ran up higher, right? If we were right, we're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. It's kind of the tough part about trading is that, when you're right, if you're lucky or not, you still make money. If you're wrong, it makes you feel like an idiot. So it's tough for me to wonder, was I an idiot today? Am I blind? Am I not good at trading? What is the case? Or was it just the case of just being wrong? Was I on the wrong side of the market? I had the wrong interpretation. Maybe I shouldn't have traded in this chop. Maybe I should have waited for 10, right? If we wait for 10 a.m. to open, this is where this 30 second, I guess, gets taken. But if we wait for some type of displacement, like real displacement, right, we'd see the real order flow come in. But even if I did wait, I don't get an entry, right? We never pull back to any 5 minute imbalance, right? So this sell-off right here is very hard for me to trade, even if I was targeting this low or these lows, which is what my target was, the 4-hour fair value gap. We never once get a pullback at all, so I struggled to trade those days. We haven't even hit a 15 minute, so I probably wouldn't have been able to catch shorts just based on how I like to trade. And that is fine, right? The only thing here I see is this order block holding and displacing lower. But again, this is just very shallow. This is a very efficient price run, and I wouldn't have been a part of it, so that's fine to know. So what do I learn from the day? I just learned that, be more accepting of the SMTs. What was ES doing off open on the 1 minute? We had the SMT, right? And we were failing to put in highs. So 9:30 open, we end up sweeping the high here around open. We end up putting a high, and ES didn't, although ES did sweep this relative high. We come up, and we displace lower, right? This is the best entry on ES, this 1 minute fair value gap right here. Obviously, hindsight. But we also had these equal lows here that it pulled back into. So ES was actually relatively clean today. That would have been a 4.5 points there. You could have got 8 there, and then you would hold to this fair value gap, 21 points. Solid day. And again, to kind of wrap things up, I really don't know to be like, there's a lot of times I'm right trading, and I think the biggest problem is that I haven't been able to journal properly, and I haven't been able to lose properly and win properly, so it's kind of been messing up my progress. So as long as I'm not making as long as I'm not making mental mistakes and making my own mistakes, I'm fine losing. I'm fine losing today because I can learn, I can kind of reflect on my bias, I can reflect on my entries, but I didn't do anything emotional. I didn't over leverage. I didn't take too many trades, and I stepped away. So I'm very happy with that. That's a lot of progress. And if I can do that consistently every day, because then when I do hold my trade right, I'll make 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 sometimes. Because who knows, right? Who knows what you can do when you get a trade, right? You can get a trade and be risking 200 because you're risking 20 points, and then you're targeting 50 points or 58 points. That's $580, right? And that's a nice chunk. That's a nice day. And then you do that again, and then you have 2 days in a row, and that's $1,000 in 2 days, right? About taking high probability setups. So if I can just consistently get good at holding my positions and just start improving on that, and then I'm taking better setups, the results will come with it. So I can't keep making bad decisions in terms of how I decide to hold trades and then expecting to get away with it, right? I have to just come into the day knowing, okay, I'm going to be okay losing or winning, right? I was fine dying on this hill today. Maybe my first take profit shouldn't have been here, but my first trade would have been here, right? We would have had 5 micros, and this would have been a fine target. If we just held the whole trade, it would have been $400 to that high, or we could have just taken our trade to here and accepted, $200, right? Or whatever. We could have taken the trade to here, 270, right? That's fine. It's all good. And it's just about getting consistent. But it's just if I do get in this trade and the trade wins, I can't just close it all at this high. I can't just close the trade here because it starts coming down. I have to be used to holding my trades properly, and that's my biggest emphasis. And I know the results can come. I know the consistency will come. I just have to keep doing it. My trading, my entries will get better. My discretion will get better. All these things will get better. But the one thing that won't change unless I change it is if I just stop making mistakes that I can control. I can't control if I win or lose. If I see an A+ setup and it loses, I can't control that. If I see an A+ setup and it hits full take profit, I cannot control that, and I have to be okay with that. But what can I control? If I'm in an A+ setup and it starts coming back down to break even, I can control if I close the trade or not, if I stick to my rules. If I'm in a trade and it's running to take profit and it's up 50 points and my target's 55 points, I can control if I close or if I hold the full take profit. If I take a loss and I see a bad setup, I can control if I get back in. If I take a trade and I win, I can control if I step away for the day, right? I have control over all these things. I do not have control of where the market goes. So it's my job to look for an edge, look for a good setup, and try and perform the best I can, trading with the best logic that I can, right? That's all I am doing. That's all I need to worry about. I don't need to worry about if my take profit hits or if my stop loss hits. And once I can truly detach myself from stop loss or take profit and just really focus on what am I looking at the charts, where do I want price to go, and really just focus on that and that alone, that is when I'll see progress with my trading. I don't need to be worried about progress. I need to be worried about my actions. And it's tough because I am down 318 today. I'm down 210 overall in the account. I'm down a lot in the account in terms of where we were up from. And that's fine, right? I'm actually relatively close to blowing this account. 49790 minus 49350. 49350 minus 49350. So we actually only have about 450 behind us. So again, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change what I'm going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to come in and try and risk 200 per trade. But, the account could get blown, and that's fine, right? We'll just start a new one. But I know that if I can follow my rules, I will start seeing more progress, and then I can journal better, and then I can really get a good sense. Okay, today was a loss. What happens when I follow all my rules, right? Because then when I follow my rules, I get real results. When I close trades early, I don't get real results. I get mixed results. I get smaller wins than I should, and I get bigger loss than I should, and I get break even when I shouldn't. And it's like that skews the results. I'm tired of skewing my results. I'm tired of performing bad. I'm tired of making mistakes on things I can control. Right? There's a lot of uncertainty in life. There's a lot of uncertainty in trading. So if you have control over something, you need to perform best as possible, right? And that's where I'm really going to try and emphasize. And I know I can do it. So that's my review. That's my reflection for the video. Today is special because we hit 2,000 subscribers over the weekend. So we are putting a quarter in for 2K subscribers. This is unbelievable that we've made it this far. And if anyone doesn't know, I put in a quarter for every 250 subscribers we make. So we have now made 8th quarter coming into the jar, which is crazy. My goal is 400 quarters, which is 100K. That might take us a long time. We are throwing in the quarter, which is from Maya Angelou. I don't know what that is. April. This is a $quarter. Is that what they all say? I don't know. But this is the quarter. Looks pretty cool. Let's see if it focuses. It's like a little lady, like a little kind of like halo above her. This is going in for 2,000 subscribers. Again, I appreciate everyone that subscribes to the channel. We now have 8 quarters. My goal is 400. But I never thought we'd get to 1,000. And the fact that we've doubled 1,000 is mind-blowing, because 1,000 is a milestone. And just doubling the milestone is really neat. So I appreciate everyone that subscribes. If you're new here, make sure to keep subscribing. And yeah, I'm happy with today's progress, right? Is it where I want to be in my account? No. Is it where I want to be in my journey? No, but this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And yeah, this is how it's supposed to be, right? And I will get better. I will succeed in the long run. And today, objectively, was good. We were on the wrong side of the market. Maybe we made some bad calls with price action, but we did our job, and we learned from it, right? And that's all we can do. So I appreciate everyone that watched the videos. And yeah, hopefully we just show up tomorrow and we follow our rules. That's really all I care about. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.